Pricing Masters, your code to unlock the profitability and growth of your company. The best pricing and monetization strategies from ValueShip's experts.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Pricing Masters.
Hello, this is Maciej.
My name is Chris.
And today we're going to focus on a very important topic, which is how to implement price changes. It's not easy, we know. There is a certain fear component we have covered in the episode. In the previous episodes, there is a certain
uncertainty,
anxiety in the organizations, especially when they're doing this for the first time. And Chris, basically a very common question, how to do it and what are the main organizational challenges when implementing a price change, when we already have this, we have done this research, we have the value, we have everything done. Mm-hmm. So what are the organizational challenges in implementing new pricing?
So I think the first and the most important thing is actually communication. So how will you communicate price changes both to your current paying customers and to your new prospective customers? Mm-hmm. So this is the first.
And there are two things. There are two separate things.
Of course. So let's start with your current customers. So once you've done all the research, you know what is the churn probability, you know which customers have the biggest absolute and percentage price increase. Mm-hmm. You segmented those customers. Now you need to see how to communicate with different segments. And of course, the higher churn probability rate, the more effort you need to put to those customers. Mm-hmm. So imagine that you have different communication tools, right? You can send them an email about price increase, and most likely those are for the customers that have the lowest churn probability. Mm-hmm. But the higher the churn probability, the more communication effort you need to
require.
So you have an email, you have key account manager / CSM team that should contact with the customer. If the customer is big in terms of the MRR in your business, so like big customers with high, maybe not high churn probability, but the bigger the customer, most likely the higher will be price increase, at least in absolute terms, the more effort it requires. So sometimes the call from a CSM, maybe the call from the director or the CEO of the company. Mm-hmm. So no matter what communication method you will put, and of course the higher the risk, the more tailored communication, the more careful communication needs to be. But first thing, you need to justify the price increase.
Okay, so if I understand this correctly, you need to segment these customers. What is the current pricing? What will be the new pricing? What will happen? Mm-hmm. And have a comment for the reasons, and basically segment them from A, B, C, D, E, where A is the,
low churn probability,
like low risk effectively, to E or whatever label you decide to do, where E is like concerned. These are the customers we should have like a bigger concern on. They're ones that are, colored on red, something that we should really focus on. This is where they might require more tailored communication. So part of the customers we can cover with the email. For some of them there will be phone call, for some will be some negotiation involved and everything. But basically it all comes down to very simple segmentations of different buckets of these customers.
So beyond the communication, you need to also have plan how to release it, right? Because sometimes maybe you will not increase the pricing immediately. Maybe you should give them some grace period so they don't churn, but they have, the timeline of price increases, right? So after 3 months you increase by X, then after 6 by Y, and stuff like that, right?
Okay.
So it's not only communicating, but also giving an options.
Okay, so I have this, going with this framework, we have this A, B, C, D, E customers, and we also need to have a separate memo for A customers, we're doing this, for B customer, we're doing this, and we also have certain set of actions triggered, an algorithm effectively. What are we going to do with these customers if they say no, if they want to negotiate, depending on the bucket.
It's what if scenario, right?
Yeah, like-
what if they say that they can't afford it? Okay, you can't afford it today, so you can, for example, go on the yearly period, you increase their LTV if they are going to yearly period, and after the year the price increase for them will be introduced. Remember that, you know, pushing the needle by 5 centimeters is better than churn, for example.
Okay, so also something that we need to keep in mind is while we have certain ambition for the price increase, like 200K increase in MRR, it is also fine if we manage to put only part of
Capture
our customer
a
base.
fraction, right?
Yeah, a fraction of like 150 is also a good success rate, I would say, right? So it's not about nuclear option from tomorrow you're going to pay
X
20% more or 50 or whatever. It's about personalizing this a little bit as much as you can. There is a certain method of doing it, which we're going to cover in this episode, but a little bit later. But also having a certain scenario of good, neutral, positive, neutral, and negative, right, across. So basically, it all comes to a very simple Excel framework of like you have this 5,000 customers list, you have them labeled, you have the actions you're going to do, you have the scenarios,
and a responsible team for doing that.
and then you have you have an ownership, and then you can go to the next stage, which is how to plan the price changes in the organizations for the customers. Anything you would say on the how to plan it, what should be done here, which factors we need to take under consideration?
Of course, so there are some there's a technology, right? Because at some point you need to make sure that you are technologically, especially if you are doing pricing transformation, you are capable of actually introducing the price change, right? So this is the factor that you should take actually at the beginning of your pricing effort. Nevertheless, it's remember to align with technology product team if this is still feasible and easy, so to say,
because very often we see when you're you're creating the new pricing strategy, we'll have add-ons, we have this, we have that, and then the product owner comes in and, guys,
it's gonna take a
can't do
year,
add-ons.
right?
We don't have add-ons, right? Come on, like we have already done the whole project, we have done everything, and now you're saying that we don't have add-ons in our, we can't do add-ons, right? And this is something that
So you're starting actually
many times.
implementation day one, right? You need to have a product owner that you
Can the product handle it effectively?
So technology is one thing. Of course, the second thing is the timeline, right? So once you came up with a new pricing, I mean, you need to put some timeline and product timeline. So you know how product can catch up with the changes, communication timeline, and then you have a very important factor. Do you want to communicate it widely, you know, a week, 2 weeks before the price increase, or you just increase in the day and that's it? And those are two strategies. It's not good or wrong, right? But if you decide to communicate it earlier, like a month before price increase, most likely this will be a very good month for you, right? I mean, because clients will start to upsell, start to go to yearly contract, etc. But at the same time, you will have a certain buzz around the company about price changes. So you will have different personas who will try to challenge your new pricing if you decide to communicate it, and will try to kind of force you not to do it. Yeah, exactly.
Because people are afraid of changes, effectively.
Yes, because they will always, if you communicate it, they will always treat it as a price increase. Even if you decrease the price, they will understand it as a price increase because you're corporate, you want to, you know, get more money,
Yeah,
blah,
we
blah,
had
blah.
a situation recently like this. But it's also important if you have a very strong community around your product. If you have like community-led growth, you know, like a Facebook group or a forum or whatever of people who are actually using your product, they are like strong advocates of the product. The buzz around the price change, it might be a hard time for you organizationally, right? So maybe could you because you have done some research in the communities considering these things, and we have done some projects in that which were hard, honestly. What are the types of the people we can expect during the price changes?
Yeah, so first thing, it will be hard for your organization because you'll receive a lot of comments.
Negative feedback.
Most of them won't be pleasant for you. So it's going to be hard for the whole organization, founder, people who are building this this product, but also, people who joined 2-3 months ago, and their family or their network see that something is going wrong with the product because there is a price change. So first of all, you need to be transparent and let the organization know that it's you've done it through the research, etc. There is data to back the pricing. Then what you can expect from your users or prospective users that will learn that it's going to be a price change. There will be definitely a group of people who will be very vocal that they don't like it, and they will most likely blackmail you the day one with churn.
I'm leaving you. I hate
80% of the buzz, which is like most likely 5 to 10% of your community maximum. Typically, it's like 1%. Will be very vocal people who are saying, "Oh, you're becoming so corporate, very greedy. If you introduce it, I'm leaving. The day after." Right? So expect those comments as well. There will be people who will try to, investigate the negotiation options, right? So negotiators, right? The first one, I don't know how to call them, but the people who are creating a lot of negative buzz. The second one, negotiators. So, okay, maybe we can negotiate something. Maybe
can I stay on the legacy plan?
Exactly, right? So I've been with you for so long. Maybe we can, make a deal, etc. So those, you need to have a good plan how to handle those customers, and based on the segments that we've just described, there are certain actions that you should take. There will be people who want more info, like diggers. They will dig. Oh, why is this price change?
What is the logic? What is the reason behind?
Yeah, exactly. So they will try to use the smart tactics at one hand side to try to challenge your price increase, but within diggers you'll also find people who actually try to understand why you are doing that and how this influences their business. It's worth to listen to their comments, because typically, despite you took into consideration all the scenarios that you could imagine, remember that there are 5,000 brains there. Most likely they will come up with something that you didn't think of, right? Yeah. You will have also ambassadors, and this group is the least vocal, because if you think that it actually makes sense, the price was there's inflation, the price,
there's value inside,
and you will have some ambassadors, and make sure that if someone is saying to you, actually I understand there is a value behind it, blah blah blah, make sure to also collaborate with those people, engage the conversation with them, so you also have
a positive buzz.
Positive buzz around it. Make sure to work with these people. So remember that you can actually, long story short, you can imagine negative feedback, and if you decide to communicate price increase a month before actually increasing the price, the whole organization needs to know that there will be people who actually don't like it.
This is kind of like brace yourselves moment, in which the CEO or the management role is very important. It's like, guys, this is the strategy that the team, this is the strategy we have decided to do. There will be a hard time potentially for the organization, again, community-based organization. There might be a hard time. There might be a lot of negative feedback initially, but we have done our research. We're staying strong. We have confidence, organizational confidence, that it's going to be fine. Because on top of these people we have mentioned, these segments, there is a very strong silent majority that doesn't really care. They're not that price sensitive. They are mostly okay with it, and separating the noise from the actual customer feedback is critical, right? Because the noise, as with everything in social media, the noise can become something that we care too much. And I have seen implementations in which the founder was super afraid because he was very involved in the community, had close relationships with people, and after launching this, he received calls and everything. It was a small product, and he was literally terrified about what's going to happen. And the main message from us was, keep up pushing, you're doing good work, it's going to be fine, let's wait, it's not going to happen in the wrong direction. And guess what? After 3 months, when everyone went through the period, well, only the customers that he didn't want to have in the product left, and the good customers stayed. And in the end of the day, there was like 30% MRR uplift. But the psychological burden took a toll, and it was from the mindset perspective, this is really critical, right? To have these things sorted out. But okay, so we have this, that these things will happen. This is like when you have a community. In most cases, companies don't have that strong community, that's fine. So I would also recommend like how to communicate it to the customer base. So basically, there's a good approach. It's like when you're doing the price increase, and specific price increase or any price change, but most likely it will be price increase, tell your customers why. People hate price changes, as you said. But if you make a good reasoning, you can blame it on costs. It's a good moment of inflation where you can blame it everything on development costs, server costs, whatever, fine. But also you need to say that this is a price increase. So we're not don't use any euphemism like price adjustment, not use any euphemisms like price adjustment or price changes. Say we are increasing the prices for you.
Yeah, be direct.
Be direct
with your customers, but justify why you are doing that.
And this is the second thing, right?
Cost increase, of course, but also development of the tool. Listening to your feedback, because throughout the research that you've done to actually introduce the price increase, you know what clients care about. So most likely they require more flexibility, for example. So you increase the price change the price, increase the price in order to actually meet their requirements. Because of course, unit economics wise, core value metric wise, yes, you increase the price, but maybe, for example, you provide more flexibility to it. So, for example, you introduce a usage component.
So right? Link it to the value-centric narrative,
exactly.
Right? So link it to what has happened in the product, what changed in the product effectively, what was the recent development. Ideally, if you have usage data that you can plug in, it's like you have spent X amount of hours within a product, you have 20 users, you can use. There are a lot of tools like this to personalize your messaging. You can plug it in and actually showcase the value. Ideally, if you have it calculated, like we have saved you this amount of hours and everything. But if you try to personalize the messaging, no matter what the segment is, if you have this hard segment, it's most likely there's going to be a call with the CEO. If not, there will be a simple email, but justify, right? So reasons why, justify with the value-centric narrative. This is critical. And also an additional layer that I would add on top of that is what is going to happen within the product because of the price increases. So what is the roadmap? What are the things that are happening? This is something that you can add to the overall mix as a component of promising something for the future.
And this is very important for the silent majority, so they clearly understand what's behind the price increase. So coming up with FAQ, history of changes with the old pricing, bring the arguments that you've gathered during the research, right? So prepare something, a reading material, nice UX, blah, 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 easy to read, language, stuff like that. But make sure to come up with something that is a bit longer and not only scratches the surface, but actually answers the deep concerns that some of the clients might have, right? So make sure not only, go on the surface, but also prepare something that explains in detail how you are approaching this, why you are doing this, etc. So first communication, justification, and then longer reading material, maybe
that we have prepared.
Yes, that you've prepared, like maybe in FAQ manner or something like
The
that.
last but not least thing is the promo that you can do with this. So we are increasing, so you can use the pricing change as a very strong tool of creating a promo activity. I remember one client, it was actually in a B2C context, they mentioned that the prices are going to increase, it was a B2C subscription, that the prices are going to increase on January, and on December they had a huge spike of people who wanted to log themselves on the product.
Exactly, and that was both actual clients and the new clients, right? So actual clients, of course, they will go on, for example, yearly contract. If you decide to grandfather them, for example, which is typically not recommended, but if you decide to do it,
Happens,
of course.
Situations.
That will be it. But also, if someone was thinking about going into your product, if a company was thinking,
close the conversion loop.
you can close the conversion loop faster, right? Careful with that, because in this particular case, if you use the price increase narrative, that if you're increasing prices, you should make sure that if you communicate, if you, for example, don't increase prices for one particular use case, you can also tell about this, that for example, for this use case, it won't happen, because if you don't do it, you will receive negative feedback afterwards from those clients who actually did not benefit from the price.
Additional thing is like, if you're going to do the grace period, let's call it a grace period. So grandfather the customers for a certain amount of time, allow them to purchase an annual subscription for a lower price, ensure that this is not given forever. Like, forget a word lifetime. Like, don't do it. Like, make it like 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, whatever. But ensure that there's moment will stop. And then you can kind of start rolling this over. There's one other thing, is like, organizationally, you need to have the owner of the process and ensure that when you decided on the price increase, you'll have annual contracts. So some annual contracts expire on May, some on June, some on July, and so on. So you have to have action ready in your Asana, Jira, whatever you're using to manage, that these actions need to be taken, because otherwise you'll have too many customer segments with different price points, and it's not going to
effective.
it's not going to end effectively. So I think this is kind of one more thing. So for me, one more thing, measure, right? Once you've introduced your pricing, that's not it. That's not over, right? Measure the success, or measure how your KPIs, MRR, upsell, downsell, how the base behaves.
Yes, exactly. Because if you don't measure, your next pricing action won't be data-driven. You need to restart the process, right? And no gut feeling. If you're changing the prices, make use of it, even though if it doesn't work for some reason, right? I mean, something, I don't know, all the competition, like, decrease the prices at the time you increase the prices. You will be much smarter if you measure what has happened, right? With your current base, etc. You have benchmarks, your proprietary own data that can actually simplify your next price change.
That's good that you're mentioning, because if you measure it now, your next price increase, you can use it as a baseline to what happened to the type of customers that we are serving. It's important because when you have the data, you can attribute for the next price increase, for the next price change, because you know how your overall customer base behaves. And then you can understand that our churn increased by 1%, by 2%, and you can build a business case for every next action. So to conclude, tell your customers why, link it to the narrative of the value, ensure the right communication, don't get stressed about the buzz that might be happening, again, community-led companies, and last but not least, ensure that you monitor everything in the right way. Anything else?
No, I think that's
in a shortcut, that's it, right?
So good luck with your price increase. Thank you for being with us in our series, and see you on the next episode.
Yeah, and this is the final episode of this season of the SaaS pricing. Let us know what you think in the comments. Keep in mind to subscribe to the channel. Let us know which episodes would you like us to cover in the next seasons. There will be more coming. We have obviously some ideas, but we want you to give us feedback on what you think, which topics you want us to tackle. And I am strongly recommending 2 ebooks that are in the source material. One is from Kyle Poyer from OpenView. The second one is from Patrick Campbell from Profitwell. I think they're like one of the best digital content written on the price increases, and we're not afraid to say it. They're like one of the best, very good pieces, and they are pretty much explaining the things that we have covered in the episode in different words effectively, because we are advocating for the same thing. So thank you for staying with us. It was Pricing Masters by Value Ships. Good luck with your price increases. Take care.